So I'm with Joe Griffin, one of the founders of the Human Givens movement and all of the organising ideas behind that. And we're at the Human Givens conference in May 2018 in Leamington Spa. And Joe, it's really great to see you again. And I really wanted to just ask you the simple question. You were one of the founders. How has it evolved over these years? What's different about the Human Givens now and what's come out of those organising ideas? And maybe you could just start by telling me how long it is since you coined that phrase.
Well, it's more than 20 years now. And how it's really changed, John, is that we were quite naive at the beginning. We knew that there were certain practices for which there was an evidence base that they actually worked. And they came from different therapies, and there were ideas we had ourselves. And we thought we could just go out and people would receive them with open arms. But it wasn't like that. You actually had to set them within a theoretical structure. And so it almost evolved back to front. We had some skills that worked, and then we had to go and figure out why did they work, because nobody would listen until you could give them a plausible scientific explanation for why they worked.
So those fundamental ideas have been added to, they've evolved, they've grown, and the usage of them has grown in different spheres. I know you do a lot of work now in the world of work and organisations.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Einstein said that any fool can create a complex theory, but it takes a pretty intelligent person to create a simple theory that works. And that's what's happened over the years. We have simplified and got to the essence of things, the essence of why certain approaches work to help people get out of mental illness very, very quickly. And we discovered that these fundamental ideas, which you are very familiar with, John, work in all kinds of spheres. We first of all tried them out in mental health, and we published results in peer-reviewed studies, and they were extraordinarily effective, on average about 3 times faster results than you would get with, say, a leading other therapy like CBT. But we then tried them in education, and they worked extraordinarily well in education, both in schools for people with disabilities as well as mainstream schools. We tried them in sport, and one record that was broken was a team that hadn't won the All-Ireland in 16 years. Broke this dummy and actually won the All-Ireland using the Human Givens ideas. And more laterally, I have been working with some colleagues in the corporate sphere, because it's becoming increasingly evident that so much mental illness is actually generated within corporations, which under the huge stress people are under. And there's a huge lack of information about what constitutes good psychological practice, what constitutes a way of living that ensures that we stay mentally alive and vital and intact. And that's really rewarding, because at the end of the day, for a business to work well and make a profit, it's got to take care of its primary asset, which is its people. And it has to have its people having access to their highest levels of intelligence. And that requires knowledge of the Human Givens. So we find business very receptive.
Last question, really. I mean, I sense, in my own world, I came to it having been a therapist before I came across Human Givens. It changed my world and my life in the way I practice. But I sense that, there's been a resistance from the establishment, shall we say, for quite a long time. But I sense that it's time for Human Givens to just go viral, to use the modern expression. What are your thoughts about that?
John, I have exactly the same feeling myself. It has been a long slog for 20 years, and at first, yes, there was huge resistance. But during that time, a new generation has grown up, a new generation who have been exposed to the idea of evidence-based practice. It's not grand old men dreaming up theories from 100 years ago and somehow they have the truth for all time. And they've grown up with a much more pragmatic attitude. Show me the evidence. And because that attitude now is so much more pervasive, the time is right for Human Givens. I really feel it.
Joe, it's a genuine pleasure to see you again. It's a genuine pleasure to chat with you. I could be here for 5 hours instead of 5 minutes, and I learn every time I talk to you. Joe Griffin, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.